always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Live from Washington, D.C., kicking off another brand new day here on the Steve Gruber Show. Very special coverage from the biggest foxhole of freedom of all, the nation's capital. Always makes me ask, what do you want in your foxhole? Got a lot of work to do today, so let's get right to it. Here are the three big things you need to know for this hour. Number one, Black Friday sales set all-time sales records, but what about Cyber Monday? Is the nation healing? Are we on our way to something better in the economy? It seems like it, and I hope so. Number two, the lines being drawn between the United States and Venezuela. An offer was made for the dictator Maduro to go, but so far that hasn't happened. But what is really this all about? It's more than drugs, I can assure you that. And number three, we start today with yet another blue state disaster when it comes to the money from hardworking taxpayers like you. In fact, in Minnesota, they know what's good for them. And if they did know what was good for them, Tim Walz's days as the state's governor, they would be numbered. You heard it here first last week, but the cover has officially been blown off just about how much corruption and fraud has taken place under Walz's leadership of the land of 10,000 lakes and just how irresponsible he is. The facts are egregious, so scandalous that even the New York Times couldn't pass up on a story this shocking. An attorney representing some of the 86 defendants being accused of fraud in Minnesota told the Times that his defendants, quote, became convinced that state agencies were tolerating, if not allowing the fraud to continue. He went on to say, quote, no one was doing anything about the red flags. It was like someone was stealing money from the cookie jar, and they kept refilling it. Now, if I were more naive, I'd call it shocking, but it does not surprise me one bit to find out that Tim Walz turned a blind eye to corruption and fraud just to secure an important voting block in Minneapolis. And according to government employees, he did a lot more than turn a blind eye. That's right, a Twitter account for the Minnesota Department of Human Services employees, which represents almost 500 employees, has officially turned on the governor. In a lengthy X post, the employees say the governor cannot claim ignorance. They wrote, quote, Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of fraud early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping fraud, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblowers using monitoring, threats, repression, and did his best to discredit fraud reports. Can you believe that? They also exposed their bosses for being part of a cover-up, writing this. Our administrators are actively deleting incriminating evidence, destroying data and documents, thereby preventing us from attaining justice and preventing future fraud. The account, by the way, has since been suspended, likely another piece to the cover-up. We'll keep an eye on whether or not Elon Musk reinstates it because that would be important. Now, last year, the House Oversight Committee subpoenaed documents related to one of Minnesota's fraud schemes. Walz has still not released those documents. Sounds like even more incriminating evidence is hiding behind the bureaucratic red tape. And so far, Walz is taking no responsibility at all. Instead, he says his state is so well run that it just attracts criminals. Listen to this.
Dozens of people of East African descent have been charged, convicted, and sentenced for stealing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money from government programs during COVID. As you know, Governor, that is more than Minnesota spends each year to run its Department of Corrections. So I want to give you a chance to respond to this. Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. And I will note, it's not just Somalis. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can. But to demonize an entire community on the actions of a few, it's lazy.
Clearly, Walz is just in denial. He had nothing to do with putting those criminals in jail, nothing at all. Those were federal investigations. And I would not call a state that attracts criminals well-run. That's the most laughable thing I heard all weekend. Are you kidding me? None of your constituents, other than the criminals, are glad that you've created a system that benefits criminals. President Trump has responded in his usual no-holds-barred manner. He is now ordering that Somali green cards, along with green cards issued to 18 other countries of concern, all be re-examined. He also called Tim Walz seriously retarded in a social post and then refused to back down during an Air Force One gaggle. Here he is.
Tim Walz, and you call him what many Americans do find an offensive or retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with it. Absolutely, sure. You have a problem with it? You know what? I think there's something wrong with it. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into a state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with Tim Walz, although maybe my money would be just on a pure lack of morals and integrity. And of course, Walz went out on NBC to condemn Trump for his hateful behavior, saying that he considers Trump's indictment a badge of honor. I guess he has no shame over his failure to the taxpayers. Listen.
Look, Donald Trump insulting me is a badge of honor for me, but I think we all know, as both as an educator for a couple decades and as a parent, using that term is just so damaging. It's hurtful. We have fought 3 decades to get this out of our schools. Kids know better than to use it. But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language. And mainly, look, at first, I think it's just because he's not a good human being. But secondly, to distract from his incompetency.
Oh, please. Saving the tears, Tim. If you're going to give it, you got to take it. And we have not forgotten how much hateful behavior Tim has engaged in against Donald Trump himself. If you don't remember, well, I've got a refresher.
But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language.
Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. When it's a dolt like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back.
What we should demonize is people like Elon Musk. Although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
Yeah, there will be news. He's hoping for the news to be that Donald Trump has died. That's what he's saying there. Yeah. Walz wants us more upset about mean tweets than about his bungling of billions of taxpayer dollars in his state of Minnesota. But the American people aren't so easily distracted anymore. And it goes the same for the race card, which Walz also tried to play. He says Trump is demonizing Somalians. All but 8 of the 86 people charged in the meals, housing, and autism therapy fraud cases are Somalian descent. That's just a fact, not racism. And it's just so predictable that he would try to deflect by playing the race card. I mean, it is predictable. Americans are tired of it. Minnesotans are tired of it as well. We're going to get to some of those folks after the break. Special report here from Washington, D.C. I'm Steve Gruber, a special edition of the program. I'll be at the White House today and tomorrow. We'll see what the president's working on there today and tomorrow. We'll be in Washington all week, and it's a pleasure to be here. I'll take a break and be right back on The Steve Gruber Show. Can you imagine if Tim Walz were the vice president right now and all these things were coming out in Minnesota? All this fraud. I mean, Americans are tired of fraud, waste, fraud, and abuse. We hear about it all the time. Our tax dollars being burned for God only knows what. I can guarantee you in Minnesota, they're tired of it. People like this guy here, listen.
I'm calling on Governor Tim Walz to resign as governor. Who am I? I'm a taxpayer. And if you're a taxpayer here in Minnesota, I hope you will join me in asking Governor Tim Walz to resign. Why? Because he has absolutely failed this state on almost every single level. We had a report come out from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce that between 2019 and 2024, which is the last year data was available, Minnesota is failing on every single economic measure. Now, you may argue, well, that's something that needs to be taken care of at the ballot box, and I would agree with you, but let's add more to this. Enough is enough. I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll join me in telling Governor Tim Walz that he needs to resign. If you have a platform, an account on this platform, I hope you'll post a video. If you have other social media, I hope you will also put out there your request that Governor Tim Walz resign from his post for failing the people of Minnesota.
Who am I? I'm a taxpayer. I mean, that says it all. I'm a taxpayer. You're squandering my money. Walz's failures should transcend political party. He's failed Republicans and Democrats and independents alike. I hope many more will join the call for his resignation. Look, he squandered billions, knew about it, and then tried to silence the whistleblowers. Demanding accountability isn't racist, it's leadership. We're seeing the results of unchecked immigration on a daily basis in this country. It's a no-brainer that bad things will happen when millions are allowed into our nation unvetted and then unleashed under special status orders. They don't share our values. They don't share much of anything with us, many of these folks. And the Trump administration is taking it seriously. Under Secretary of State Marco Rubio, 80,000 visas have now been revoked just in 2025. The leading causes being DUIs, assault, theft, and other crimes. And the State Department isn't going to be shamed into believing that's racist. Listen to this.
Under the previous administration, we saw an abuse of our immigration system. We saw an abuse of our immigration laws. We saw the worst border crisis in U.S. history. And so under this administration, we have been clear that we are going to enforce our immigration laws. We are going to secure the border. From the State Department, that manifests itself when it comes to visa revocations, for example, when we see people break our laws, when we see people act in ways that contradict the terms of their visa, acting to correct that, and they may see that visa revoked. So we've been very clear that border security is a high priority for this administration. It's essential to our national security, and we are going to enforce our immigration laws.
Now, in the words of Donald Trump, they're not sending their best. They're not. Minnesotans and Americans deserve the same kind of leadership, a government that protects tax dollars, safeguards whistleblowers, and tells the truth, not one that hides behind excuses, deflections, and suspended accounts. The pattern under Walz isn't an accident. It's a culture of neglect and retaliation that allowed corruption to flourish. No amount of spin can cover up billions lost, warnings ignored, or citizens endangered. Accountability is not partisan. It's essential for a functioning state and country. Minnesotans are waking up, demanding transparency, and refusing to be gaslit any longer. If integrity still matters in Minnesota, then Tim Walz's time in office should be coming to an end. That's a fact. And look, it's not just Minnesota. There are several states that have these kinds of problems. And the truth of the matter is many of those states are blue states. Look at Illinois. J.B. Pritzker, the governor there, seems to embrace the idea that illegals are somehow enhancing the state of Illinois. Ask the folks in Chicago how it's going. And you compare that to what's happened in Washington, D.C. We've talked about this at length, but we should again. Washington, D.C. has had 24 murders since the 11th of August. 24. That's 109 days. That equates to about 80 homicides annually. That would be the lowest number of people killed in the nation's capital in 40 years, since 1986. That's not an accident, that's action. That's predictable. And you know what? The mayor of D.C., Muriel Bowser, and others that live here, they can see the difference. They know something has changed. I walk around D.C. now. It's different. Trust me, I'm here in D.C. It's a different city than it was a year ago. It's safer. People are more confident. Is it perfect? No, but all that damage takes a lot more than 9 months to correct. There's a lot of work to be done here and elsewhere. Chicago, San Francisco, Los Angeles, the list goes on. And the one thing all of those cities have in common is the same thing. All run by Democrats who are easy on crime, allow illegals in, call themselves sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, and the results, never good for you, the taxpayer. We're going to stay on these stories. We're going to tell the truth about them because the truth needs to be told. It needs to be told. Chagas disease is on the rise. There's a rare bug spreading, a serious parasite, and most people don't even know they've been bitten by it. Chagas is spread by the kissing bug. Sounds nice, but not really. It was a long considered a distant problem, but cases have recently been detected in the United States, several states, California, Texas, Arizona, Louisiana, Florida, all over the country. Early signs such as fever, rash, fatigue, or swollen lymph nodes may seem mild, yet over time, the disease can bring severe heart damage, digestive dysfunction, and, well, even death. Not to fear, the wellness company's Parasite Cleanse compound of ivermectin and mebendazole is a solution. Ivermectin paralyzes and kills parasites by disrupting their nervous systems, while mebendazole starves them by blocking glucose absorption. This potent combination delivers broad-spectrum defense against intestinal and tissue parasites. Each kit is doctor-prescribed, compounded here in America, tested for potency, and represents the gold standard in parasite defense. Fill out a quick intake form and get a bottle of 90 capsules, 4 cycles, shipped straight to your door. Just go to twc.health/Gruber. Use the code Gruber. You'll save $60, and you'll get free shipping. Your health is paramount to us. I need to see you here tomorrow. twc.health/Gruber. Save $60, free shipping. There it is. What a deal. I'll take a break. This is the Steve Gruber Show live from Washington, D.C. All right, welcome back to the nation's capital, broadcasting live from the Real America's Voice studios here in Washington, D.C. Beautiful facility, by the way. I had time to spend at the Pentagon yesterday, got my hard pass for the Pentagon. First time I've ever been in that building. It is a fascinating place, to say the least. 25,000 people work there every day, 25,000. It's a city. And it has all of the accoutrements of a city. It's got restaurants and a dentist office and a dry cleaners and a post office. The Pentagon has its own post office, believe it or not. The reason being, if things hit the fan, people have to stay on site. So they have to get their laundry done. They have 35 restaurants to choose from. They have 2 Dunkin' Donuts. Apparently one was not enough, so they have 2. But anything you can imagine is available there, including fresh produce. There's a grocery store. It's all there. And it's a fascinating place, which brings me to, where are we going with Venezuela? That's a big concern. Venezuela is a big concern because, well, it's not clear what's going to happen there. And I would say this, I don't believe that Venezuela is only about the drugs. I think it's about something more. I think it's about something a lot more, including the corruption, the money. There's a lot going on there that we don't know about yet. I'm going to tell you, we're going to hear about it in the days to come. Speaking of your good health, this part of the program brought to you by Victory Nutrition International. Tired of taking vitamins that don't seem to work Protovite is a breakthrough liquid formula designed to absorb quickly so your body actually uses it. When we say multivitamin, we mean it. With over 100 nutrients, including B vitamins, amino acids, zinc, and plant extracts, you get daily support for energy, focus, and immune health. Only from Victory Nutrition International. Nutrition that gets in. I know a lot of you have been out there getting the VNI products. They are the best. I know because Ivy says so. If Ivy says so, they've been vetted by the best, that being my wife. Start your morning with Protovite. Feel the difference. Get 20% off right now. 20% off right now. Just go to vni.life/Gruber. vni.life/Gruber. You'll be glad you did. Protovite right there. You take a shot of that every day, you're going to feel better. When we come back, you know, a lot of us put off getting fit for the new year until the new year. Ivy and I started earlier. We're going to talk about your good health and what it takes to stay in shape when you get a little bit older. I'm a little bit older, not a lot older, a little bit. We'll talk about it straight ahead, right here on the Steve Gruber Show, special edition from Washington, D.C.
Well, a few weeks ago, Ivy and I met this really intense fitness trainer. And we decided we wanted to pursue the programs that he had, and Ivy and I were talking about it. It's fall, which means my birthday's coming, Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas is coming. And so we said, okay, let's talk to him and put this together, but let's not start till January. And so we got him on the phone. He said, yeah, don't do that. He said, if you're going to do it, be serious, do it now. And he made a heck of a pitch. He joined me now, Russ Yeager, as does Ivy. They're both with me here today. Russ, welcome to the program.
Hey, Steve. Great to be here, man.
All right, so Ivy and I were talking, and we said, you know, your birthday's coming up. We're going to travel a little bit, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Let's start in January. And Russ, you said you could put it off. You could. But why would you want to do that? You probably hear this a lot, don't you? Hey, how about I start in a week or a month or a year, right? And you had some pretty smart things to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very common thing, right? January 1st, New Year's resolutions. Let's just wait until then. But what I wasn't quite as direct as, hey, don't do that, it's a bad idea. I asked, like, is this something you guys want to make a lifestyle or just a quick fix? And you immediately got it. You're like, I want to make it a lifestyle. And I'm like, if you wait until January, you're doing it just because of the calendar year. We know the statistics. Virtually everybody that makes that resolution fails. I found that people who start in November and December get great results because they're doing it not because of a date, not because of a resolution. They're doing it because they actually decided they want to change their life.
True.
So I'm proud of you guys for making that decision, and you're both doing amazing.
Well, you did. We made the decision. We've been in the gym more, walking more, and you do low impact cardio, which is a lot of walking, but gym time. Of course, we pay attention to what we eat. But tell the folks, you were the chubby kid. You were the husky kid. I've heard your story, but I want you to share it because I think it's really inspirational. People think, well, I can't look like that guy. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Tell them your story real quick.
The yes, you can is the biggest thing. You know, I sit in the sauna after my workout. That's my reward, which is very good for your heart health, by the way. And, you know, I'm talking, there's some younger guys in there, and I was talking today in their 20s, and they were asking me how old I was. They're like, there's no way you're 51. You know, you're ripped, man. You're jacked. And I told them my story. I'm like, hey, you can do it too. Keep doing what you're doing now. But, you know, I didn't start this way, and it hasn't been easy for me. I don't have great genetics. Like you said, I wore the husky pants growing up. I hated that. I always wanted to have a six pack. Like the guy, we didn't have internet back then, but I had the fitness magazines. I wanted to have a six pack. I thought that was cool. I tried on my own. You know, I'm a massive overeater. I love to overeat. I've literally won pizza eating contests. I don't know if you guys know that. So I like to be transparent about this. There's enough fitness people telling you, just eat the fruit and the vegetable and the lean meat and just tough it out. Man, I love pizza. I love cheeseburgers. I love ice cream. I've done the whole super strict thing, you know, but finally, when I figured out I couldn't do it on my own, I got a coach, 27 years old. You know, I did everything that he said, and I entered a body transformation contest. If I do something, I go all in, you know, so I extra accountability. I went from chubby to shredded in 12 weeks, won the contest, you know, and people at work, the gym were like, dude, what happened to you? You know, you showed me how to do it, knew this is what God put me on earth to do. And, you know, I'm proud of winning that contest, Steve. I'm way more proud. And you and Ivy have talked about this. I'll go as fast as somebody wants to go and getting results. I have a guy that lost 42 pounds in 10 weeks. But more important than that is getting sustainable results. So I'm way more proud than winning that contest that I've stayed in shape for the past 24 years. And it can be done. It can be done without anything extreme, without anything crazy, you know, just making wise, intentional choices and doing it consistently over time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you know, it's so funny. I think back to New Year's resolutions almost every single year. Steve and I talk about them. Our 5 biggest goals. What are we going to do? And health is always in the top 5 for me. Number 1 in terms of like our goal setting for looking out into the new year, and whether that's hitting the gym or eating well. And I love to cook. I really enjoy drinking a couple glasses of wine every now and then. And, you know, as you were saying there, it's really important to have a good relationship with food, because I think a lot of the time, you know, you have this, you know, new fad diet and this new fad diet, and I think sometimes you're overwhelmed with choices. And I think that right there, what you said at the end is you just have to have a plan, execute the plan, and be consistent. Mm-hmm. And really, I think too, as Stephen has learned, is that you have to really count your calories. Like if you really want to know what you're putting in, it's input, output. And if you're not doing that, then you really don't know exactly, did I hit my calories today? Did I overeat? Did I not overeat? Do I need to do a little better tomorrow? So that's really important. But it is just for us, you know, getting involved with you was just a reminder like, hey, you're going to hold us accountable, and here's the plan. Now go execute the plan. Yeah. And for us, like busy professionals, we need that in our life. Like we don't have time to sit and make all these plans for working out every day. So true. And so that was just a really good part of what you provided to us, and we really appreciate that.
And you do hold people accountable, Russ. You really, you have weekly meetings, you have emails, you communicate with your people, don't you?
100%. Best plan in the world is worthless without execution. And that's one of the biggest missing pieces is the accountability. And we have different levels of accountability, in our coaching, but people, they need a plan. They need to know what structure you're busy. Like, you guys don't have time to go figure this out on your own. So having a plan that's structured, but then having someone, or a team of people even better that are holding you accountable, help make sure you're staying on track. And you said it, Ivy, it is calories in, calories out. Like, there's so many, fitness people want to say, nutrition people, well, no, you don't have to worry about calories. Okay. I mean, I know for myself, when I eat too much, I have more fat. When I eat less, I lose fat. And everybody else in the world, except me, maybe for the couple of people who figured out the secret. But the cool thing is you don't have to, make it so terrible. I believe in getting the eating plan that is the easiest and most enjoyable for you. And you guys are great examples. You went for Steve's birthday. You had some, nice glasses of wine. You had some great dinners, but you budgeted, so that you stayed within your calories. And you guys not only didn't gain weight, you lost weight. So it doesn't have to be miserable. It doesn't have to be terrible, but you do have to be intentional and know what you're putting in your body every day and how much you're burning.
Absolutely, including a giant piece of chocolate cake, which I loved.
We split it. In fairness,
it was so good.
It was so good.
I found out you guys went to what's my new favorite steakhouse. You guys were in my hometown, and it was fun.
And while we were there, we found a gym. We went to the gym.
Yep.
And that was actually we had never done that before. Actually, Steve and I have never gone to a gym when we were out on vacation, but it was we loved it. It was a nice gym. We enjoyable experience. Like, we should do this every time we go out of town. Why not?
Kept us on track. You've got a book, Russ, and I want you to tell the folks about the book, because a good part of this is educating yourself. What works, what doesn't, how do you execute the plan? Tell us about the book.
So the book, I wrote the book originally about 10 years ago. It's called Live Longer, Feel Better, and Look Great Naked. So it kind of covers the gamut. And people usually get most interested in the last one. I always tell people to be careful if you're Googling it. You might get something you don't want if you put the words in wrong. And but that's really what we want. We want to feel good. We want to live longer, especially the older we get. We realize we don't have a infinite amount of time. We want to have the most years we can, make the most of it. But people want to look good too. Like, I have as much vanity as anybody. I want to be healthy. I want to be fit, but I still like being fit. And so I wrote the book with all of the information I had at that point. But, I did a few years ago, I updated the book into an ebook version, and I added, basically every chapter. I said, okay, here's update, because here's what I've learned. Because I've learned
you learn a lot. And here's what we've
Sorry.
got for the folks. I said you learn a lot. You keep updating, which is incredibly important. So here's what I want to offer folks today.
I still use fitness coaches, mentors, nutrition coaches, today, because I can never know it all.
I want to offer you the book for free right now to the listeners and viewers of this program. RussYeager.com/book. You can get the book for free. You can find out about his programs and everything else he does. You're going to see Russ more in the future. We got to leave it there today, Russ, but thank you for the head start. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Steve, and proud of you guys for getting a jump start on the new year. You're going to be ahead of everybody else when everybody's getting started.
There you go.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
A special edition of the Steve Gruber Show coming to you live from Washington, D.C. And look, in this town, there's not much that people agree on, but I think they will agree on this. The healthcare system, or the way we pay for healthcare in America, it's broken. Obamacare failed. Of course, I think it failed by design. I think that was the intention, to try to get us to a single payer system. My next guest, an old friend, Tim Murtaugh, was a Trump 2024 senior advisor and Trump's 2020 comms director. He joins me now. Tim, good morning.
Morning, Steve. Great to be with you again. Good to see you. Happy December.
Good to see you. Not a single Republican voted for Obamacare, and yet the Democrats are there blaming the Republicans. It's so predictable of what they're going to do. But the fact is, Obamacare fails. Insurance companies have gotten rich. In Michigan, the director of Blue Cross Blue Shield, he took a pay cut last year, Tim. Now, I don't want you to be too upset. He only made $14.5 million. Well, many people could not afford health care. The system doesn't work. Donald Trump's come out with this idea of health savings accounts, which I think is a great idea. At least it's worthy of a conversation. I mean, these insurance companies are playing fast and loose with the truth and getting rich the whole time, aren't they?
Yeah, they absolutely are. You mentioned President Trump and how he came out in favor of, instead of redirecting all these really trillions of dollars throughout the course of all of this, trillions of dollars that went from the taxpayers of the United States straight into the hands of the health insurance companies. And so you're exactly right, Steve. President Trump is on the case here, talking about health insurance, health savings accounts. Let me read some of his posts on Truth Social here, just parts of them. Money spent on insurance should be, quote, sent, this is in all caps, of course, in classic Trump form, sent directly to the people so that they can purchase their own much better health care. Here's another one. The only health care I will support or approve is sending the money directly back to the people, with nothing going to the big, fat, rich insurance companies who have made trillions and ripped off America long enough. And you're exactly right, Steve. When Obamacare passed, it passed with all Democrat votes, not one single Republican vote. When Joe Biden's poorly named Inflation Reduction Act passed, it passed with all Democrat votes, not one single Republican vote in either the House or the Senate for either one of those two monstrosities. And so what is going on now? These health insurance companies are returning to the favor to Democrats after raking in trillions of dollars from the American taxpayers, thanks to Democrats. What are these health insurance companies doing now? They are bankrolling Gavin Newsom's efforts in California to throw Republicans out of Congress. Health insurance companies are paying for Prop 50, all the political efforts around Prop 50, which is the redistricting in California. Health insurance companies are financing that to a large degree with giant checks to Gavin Newsom's political operation out there, trying to throw Republicans out of Congress. It's payback for the trillions of dollars that Democrats have given them over the course of decades.
I was talking to a member of Congress yesterday, a Republican, and he said, isn't it ironic that when I was running for office, and he won his seat when he was running for office in a pretty competitive district, he couldn't get anybody in the insurance industry to return his phone calls. He said, people I've known for years just ghosted me until he got elected. And they said, hey, how can we help? Isn't that remarkable? As soon as he won, all of a sudden the insurance companies are back with all their money and all their lobbyists and all their efforts to protect their bottom line, right? I mean, let's make insurance companies compete with each other so that the consumer wins. That's a pretty smart idea, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is. And the president's idea of diverting all this trillions of dollars over the course of time, diverting that taxpayer money away from insurance companies and back to the taxpayers. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. And the idea would be, of course, to keep the insurance companies away from this. Remember that this record long shutdown that we just came through was all because Democrats were shutting it down to try to protect subsidies for Obamacare. And so while they're trying, now everyone has, I'm sure, nightmare stories that they can tell about health insurance. And what's going on here, premiums keep going up and the coverage keeps getting worse. So you're paying more and more for less and less coverage. And the coverage that you do get, you have to jump through all kinds of hoops to satisfy their demands, the insurance company demands. And so by the end of it, you feel like you just had a fitness guru on here. You feel like you've probably run a marathon by the time you get whatever procedure you need covered. The health insurance companies have made trillions thanks to Democrats steering the money to them. And now the health insurance companies are repaying the favor by bankrolling Gavin Newsom's efforts to throw Republicans out of Congress. It's astounding. Now that Congress is back in session, Republicans in Congress need to remember this. what the health insurance companies are doing and have done and whose side they're on. It's not the American people's side, it's the Democrats. It's all politics.
Well, they're not on the consumer side, that's for sure. And so if they're bankrolling in California, Tim, they're obviously going to try to bankroll 2026 if a better solution isn't in place ahead of time. And that's why I say we've got to get this done now. We've got to move forward with this. And for me, that means the filibuster should go away to get these things done. We'll see if that happens. But it just reflects a bigger problem in this city that I'm in, and that is lobbyists and lobbyist money determining what happens, and not the voter, not the consumer, not the American citizen.
Yeah, that's it. And there's a couple of senators here. Bill Cassidy. There are other plans. Bill Cassidy and Mike Crapo have a piece of legislation for these health savings accounts, which would actually cut these health insurance companies out of the equation. And who we're talking about here in California, the ones who are bankrolling the redistricting effort there and Gavin Newsom's plan to throw Republicans out of Congress. We're talking about Blue Shield of California, which of course is major, and United Health. That may be a familiar name to a lot of your viewers, Steve.
Yeah.
It is the largest health insurance company in the United States, United Health, and they are on board, as well as Blue Shield of California and others, with throwing Republicans out of Congress with Gavin Newsom. That's what the health insurance companies are up to after they've already gotten their trillions in taxpayer money through Democrat help with Obamacare and the Inflation Reduction Act.
We only have about 20 seconds here, Tim, but can it get done? Can we get this done for the American people? Last question to you.
Sure thing. I think it'll actually be a dare for the Democrats. Let's call the bluff on it. They say they want action on health care. Here's something that every American can get behind, giving cash directly to the people, cutting out the insurance companies. Let's see the Democrats put their money where their mouth is. I doubt they'll do it, but that's a plan that could work. President Trump is clearly already behind that based on his social media posts.
Tim Murtaugh, nice seeing you today, Tim.
Good to see you, Steve. Thanks very much.
It's an important topic, my friends. How do you feel about it? Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Tell me what you think about health insurance, how it should be improved so it works for you. stevegruber.com. I'll be right back. Well, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says it's time to ban people coming from a number of countries so we don't flood our nation with people like the Afghan who gunned down National Guard members in Washington, D.C. Kristi Noem announcing yesterday, following a meeting with Donald Trump, that she is recommending a sweeping travel ban in every country that she believes is sending dangerous immigrants to the United States. Every single country, not just one or the other. Noem made the announcement on a fiery post on X denouncing certain immigrants as killers and leeches. I just met with President Trump. I'm recommending a full travel ban on every damn country that's been flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. She says those immigrants are a threat to this nation. And I think we see that on a fairly regular basis. She slammed certain immigrants as threats to public safety, accused them of draining resources meant for Americans. We've seen that. We see it every day. Draining resources that are meant to benefit Americans, build our infrastructure, protect our nation. And yet during the previous administration, they let 20 million people flood in, many of them completely unvetted, and then unleash them on the United States. It's reprehensible, to say the least. We'll see where this goes. And predictably, I will tell you that today the Democrats will come out and call her xenophobic and racist and a Nazi and a fascist. All the typical labels will come out today. It's automatic. It's what they do. Oh, there's an idea we don't like. Let's just call her racist so we can, minimize what she is. It's cold in the nation's capital today. I left about 8 inches of snow when I flew to D.C. on Sunday. What does that mean? It means it's muskox season. Muskox, the best flannel shirts you're ever going to own. I guarantee you, folks. If you want to put something really nice under the tree for Christmas, it's muskox. Go muskox.com. Every time you buy a muskox shirt, and by the way, I've got a couple of them. They are my go-to. They are my favorite. They are the best. Double-brushed cotton, soft as silk, durable as steel, and I go to them every single time because they are the all-weather gear for fall and winter. And if it's cold where you are, you want a muskox, go muskox.com. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll save $15 on your muskox today. Go muskox.com. Promo code Gruber, save $15. All right, coming up on the program, we're going to be here in D.C. talking about the radical left trying to destroy a young conservative in Tennessee. What's that about? Stick with us and follow us on YouTube every day. It's The Steve Gruber Show.
something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it, a special edition of the Steve Gruber Show, live from Washington, D.C. in the Real America's Voice studios. Glad to be here in the nation's capital, off to the White House after the program today to see what the president's up to. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom every single day. That's what we do. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy just yanked more than 3,000 commercial driver's licenses, saying some of those schools not preparing drivers to be on 18 wheels at 80 miles an hour and not reading English. Number two, a Republican senator is moving to end dual citizenship and says it's time for people to choose. Do you want to be an American or something else? Make up your mind. And number three, Democrats and major news outlets have been hammering the idea that the economy is tanking, that it's terrible. But then we had a record-setting Black Friday, biggest sales day ever. Still trying to hear about Cyber Monday yesterday. But it's just another example of major news outlets doing their level best to mislead you, to frighten you. And the question came up for Caroline Leavitt yesterday, who clearly has had enough of all of this BS. Listen.
House today launched a new fake news portal, which I found interesting. What is your objective with that, ultimately? And are you going to name the news networks, and are you also going to name some of the correspondents, some which may be here today?
Yes, we are. I'm glad you noticed. Much to the dismay of some of your colleagues in the room, John. And I think it goes to our original promise on day one to hold the media accountable, because unfortunately, and we deal with this all day, every day around here, there are so many fake stories that are unfortunately written that have inaccurate characterizations of meetings that took place, and it's all based on anonymous sourcing. And you know, the standard for journalism, unfortunately, has dropped to such a historic low in this country. And again, we deal with it every day, where you can have an anonymous source who has no idea what they're talking about, zero credibility, call up a reporter in Washington and say, hey, I heard this, and then the next thing you know, it's on the front page of the New York Times.
And then, after that, taking on the fake news media there in the Brady press room, she took the New York Times right out to the woodshed and said, look, you people are not telling the truth about any of this. And she brought the receipts. Listen to this.
The fake news that we see pumped out of this building on a day-to-day basis, it's honestly overwhelming to keep up with it all, and to constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks. And I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go, from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term, or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false, and it's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock. Another one. Biden declared, quote, healthy and vigorous after his first presidential physical. I don't see headlines like that too often about this president. Again, same reporter, same outlet who wrote falsely over the weekend that President Trump is not fit for the job. I can assure you he absolutely is. You all see that with your own eyes on a daily basis, and the president's physician has now given you all 3 detailed reports on the state of the president's health. So with that, I will leave you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
And there you have it. The New York Times, same writer, same outlet, totally different story. We saw Joe Biden fall off a bicycle, fall up the stairs, getting on and off Air Force One. We saw him mumbling about, stumbling about. And we also know, of course, about the auto pen. The auto pen signing documents, not Joe Biden, not pardons and commutations by the president, but by his staff. Somebody, not Joe Biden. And so what about the economy? Something else they don't tell you the truth about. The national average for gasoline today is below $3. below $3. The national average today is $2.99. So what about the economy? Something else the news has lied about is the cost of living. Now, CNN finally being forced to tell the truth about this. Listen.
So for the first time in 4.5 years, gas prices are averaging $3 a gallon nationally, according to AAA, down by 7 cents in just the past week. Gas prices were low a year ago as well, but they're even cheaper now. This is encouraging to see because late last month there was a period where gas prices were actually higher this year than last year, but that has reversed again, and now we've just fractions of a penny away from breaking below $3 a gallon. Now, as you mentioned, we've got 20 states across the country where the average is actually less than $2.75 a gallon, including North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Colorado as well. Certainly nice to see this. Why is this happening? Well, it all comes down, of course, to oil prices, right? Oil prices are about $59 a barrel this morning. If you look back in history, on December 1, 3 years ago, we're looking at $81 a barrel for oil, $67 even last year, so significantly cheaper.
So you mean to tell me that energy policy matters? Yes, it does. A lot, in fact. Gas prices, like I said, $2.99 across the country today. The winner today for the average price of gasoline, cheapest in America, is Oklahoma, $2.40. $2, that's the average. Some of these states are going to see gas at $1.99 soon because the price of gasoline continues to come down, and that is good news. Energy prices mean that inflation is coming down. That's what it means. Oil prices today, $59 a barrel. It's only a matter of time. And this comes from good energy policy. Make America energy dominant, and America wins. Vast quantities of cheap energy, my friends. That's what it takes to run this country. We need more of it, not windmills, not solar panels made in China. No, sir. Energy that comes from Alaska and Texas and North Dakota and Pennsylvania and all over this country. That's what we need. Oh, and by the way, what's the latest lie? What's the latest lie? The latest lie is that MAGA is dying or is dead. Yeah, listen to this.
So can we just go to the data, CNN's own data, from our own data analyst Harriet? President Trump has an 87% approval rating among Republicans, which is higher than Barack Obama's approval rating among Democrats at this point in his term, higher than where George W. Bush was in his term. He is the strongest, for his own party, strongest president at this point in his second term in the modern era. That's number one. Number two, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, had a falling out with the president over politics. He showed her a poll that said she couldn't win statewide in Georgia.
That's exactly
she got mad. She got mad. And by the way, she stands with a group of isolationists who just happen to disagree with the president over, say, taking away Iran's nuclear weapons and some other issues. That's fine. He's the president. She's not. And if you want to talk about whether the president has a hold on his party or whether he's a lame duck, I'll just submit that when he withdrew his endorsement of Greene, she lasted a week and then had to resign from Congress. That's not.
1 week. And then she resigned and is heading back to Georgia. Her last day in August, of course, is the 5th of January. The media lies to you every day. That's why you come here. Remember, follow me on YouTube every single day. Never miss a minute of the Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back. All right. Welcome back to it. Glad to have you here. Special edition of the Steve Gruber Show, live from the nation's capital. Does Time Magazine do anything that's credible anymore? I ask because I just pulled up an article that says, the Trump base, as we just talked about, the Trump base, they're tired of Donald Trump. They're done with him. 87% support from Republicans, higher than any president in the last several decades from their own party. Highest of anybody, 87% support. Yet there's a special election coming up in Tennessee where Democrats think they're going to pull off this miraculous win. Don't count on it. Gloria Giuliano is the founder of the Reagan Society and author of Outcast, How the Radical Left Tried to Destroy a Young Conservative. Gloria, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Appreciate it. Tennessee, all right. This is a congressional special election becoming a test of the so-called blue wave. Tell me about the race. Democrats are very bullish on this. Republicans a little bit concerned, but look, it's Tennessee. What are your thoughts?
It's Tennessee. It's the 7th congressional district. President Trump got over 20 points in that district. Former Congressman Mark Green as well. I do expect a victory today. Matt Van Epps will be our 7th congressional district congressman very soon.
I agree with you. I think that the Republican wins here, maybe not by 20 points. The concern that I have here is there's a lot of folks out there that voted for Donald Trump that only show up when he's on the ballot. That is a concern. The only Trump voters need to make sure they go out there and support their president. He can't do it without Congress and the Senate. He needs their help, doesn't he?
Yes, he definitely does. I don't anticipate our numbers being that high, but I do anticipate at least 5% of the vote to be, making the difference. And I do know that the 7th congressional district will stay Republican, and President Trump cannot do it alone. You're right. We definitely need to have, Congress be with him. And I have no doubt that with his support and with all our Republican voters voting, it's a numbers game. We need our people to go out and vote because you're right. It is a special election. It is during a holiday season. We just finished one holiday. We finished Thanksgiving. We're going into Christmas. The weather's a little bad. But yes, our people will turn out because we all understand how important it is to keep Tennessee red. And Tennessee is Trump country. And we will deliver for President Trump.
If I look historically here at the numbers, Mark Green is the former congressman there. And look, I'm going to be straight up about this, Gloria. I don't like it when these members of Congress retire midterm. You campaign for the job. You want the job. Do the damn job. I know he was offered a bunch of money to leave, but that's just ridiculous to me. You did the job. You asked for the job, and then you quit the job. I can't stand that. But Mark Green has gotten as high as 70% of the vote. He did that in 2020. He won by a wider margin in 24 than Donald Trump did in the same district. He won by 21 points. So I don't see this as much of a concern. I think it's a pipe dream for the Democrats. And Tennessee is not turning blue, is it?
No, Tennessee is not turning blue. Unfortunately, the city of Nashville itself is blue. So are all our major cities. But overall, Tennessee is a red state and will continue to stay a red state. But just like many other red states that are great states, we do have a lot of people coming here that are unhappy from California, from Illinois, from New York. I'm a former Illinoisan. So it's interesting to me that we have seen some changes, but it's not going to be anything that the Democrats want it to be. They will never New York City our Tennessee. Never.
Yeah, here's something else, Gloria, because Republicans and Democrats are all guilty of this. They'll look at a special election in an off year and say, oh, look, this is an indication of what's coming. This has nothing to do with what will happen in November of 2026, because that's a lifetime away from where we'll be in politics. So special elections are always a funny beast, to say the least. But I expect this to hold the way it is. Overall, I just did this. Gas is under $3 a gallon in the national average. It's under $2.75 in more than 20 states now. Tennessee is at $2.59, average across the state. Things are looking up, are they not?
Things are definitely looking up. I mean, President Trump is doing a wonderful job. And what we need to do is just hold the line for him. and help him out as much as we can. So I urge all Republicans in the 7th Congressional District today in Tennessee to go out and vote and help our president. I served as a delegate and on President Trump's platform at the last convention, so I know how important it is to support him. And you're right, he can't do it alone. We will do it. Things in Tennessee are going very well. Unemployment is low. We have an excellent state, and we have excellent people who know what it is. But we know the difference between freedom and communism. I myself lived in a communist country. We know the difference, and we will continue to keep Tennessee free, and we will not allow for communists, for Democrats to take Tennessee in any way, shape, or form. We will fight.
Yeah, it would be remarkable if it happened, but it will not. The last Democrat to hold that office was 1983. So do not expect anything to happen or change there. Gloria, really appreciate you being here. Thank you for the insight.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, we will keep an eye on that race. Obviously, it's an important race in maintaining control of the House and having at least a little bit of room to breathe. But listen, if you're in Tennessee, if you're in the 7th Congressional District, make sure you vote today. It is important. Donald Trump can't do it unless he's got support in the House and the Senate. It's incredibly important, so make sure you do your part. This part of the program brought to you today by PuroVet. PuroClean's Veterans Initiative, PuroVet, is investing in our nation's heroes by helping them own and operate a thriving business. This is for you. If you're a military veteran or you know one, this is a great chance to get an opportunity to have your own business. PuroClean is a wonderful company that I've been doing work with. I had a house fire last year. You've probably heard me talk about it. And PuroClean came in. They have been the best restoration company I've ever worked with or ever heard about, for that matter. They're terrific. So the PuroVet program is good for you. PuroVet.com or 855-PuroVet if you want to give them a call. Do that today. Get started on your own business venture. We'll take a break from the nation's capital. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. All right. Elton John, Sir Elton John, I should say, says that Donald Trump could be one of the greatest presidents of all time if he does just one thing. Remarkable, right? I mean, let's be honest, Elton John, not a Trump fan. But he says if Donald Trump can cure AIDS and make it a thing of the past, he'll be one of the greatest presidents of all time. Think about that. AIDS, the battle goes all the way back to the Reagan administration. George W. Bush became very popular in Africa for putting out AIDS drugs and helping curb the death rate and the illness in Africa. Donald Trump can do the same thing. If he can make that breakthrough, it could really be a significant win for the president. Elton John saying the bipartisan thing makes common sense. To see us come so far with the medical and scientific advances and to think this is the only disease that can be completely cured in one's lifetime. President Trump has maybe solved the peace problem. If he wants to go down as one of the greatest presidents in history, if he ends AIDS, that would really be a feather in his cap, says Sir Elton John. What do you think of that? What do you think about that? I mean, maybe. A lot of people, but a lot of success, and they'll still attack him. They'll still attack him. It's what they do. Maybe not Elton John, but others. It's what they do. Speaking of health, ever wondered why your metabolism turned off? The truth is, it's different for everyone. It's different for you and for me. My Pure Health uses breakthrough science and technology to uncover your unique why and then fix it naturally. No shots, no endless exercise. Real food customized for you. Your plan is different than my plan. I did this in 2018. To me, it was a miraculous program to go through. Real food, customized protocol, weekly coaching. Men lose up to 50 pounds in 40 days. Women up to 30 pounds in 40 days. It is thousands now across all 50 states. It's remarkable. The best part, they don't just help you lose weight, they give you the tools to keep it off for good. Book your free consultation today. Free consultation today. Visit gruberhealth.com and take the first step toward a healthier, slimmer you. gruberhealth.com. You're going to be glad you did this. gruberhealth.com. All right, I'll take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show live with a special edition from Washington, D.C. All right, time for something completely different. All right, a story you're not going to hear anywhere else because nobody else is going to cover this story except me. That's why you come here. That's why you follow us on YouTube and all the other great places, because we're going to cover stories you don't hear anywhere else. An important story. Jake Sittler is a former professional cyclist, and then he got hit by an SUV while riding his bike. And he credits hemp for saving his life. Well, here's a little known fact. The spending bill reopened government, but it snuck in a hemp ban. And that would threaten a multi-billion-dollar job-creating industry, according to my guest here. Jake, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well, and you're well, and you're with us. Look, you got here on a bicycle by an SUV. That's pretty miraculous. I'm going to guess you had a helmet on. I'm going to guess you had some safety equipment of some sort. But tell us about that moment, that accident.
Yeah. So I was racing professionally at the time. I was home training, and I was going through an intersection, and I actually luckily saw the driver coming, and instead of her T-boning me, I T-boned her back door. She was going over 40 miles an hour. I was going, and you can tell because you have GPS units, I was going over 40 miles an hour going through the intersection. And I miraculously did not get hit by her. I hit her, and at the time I didn't know what happened, but upon getting into the hospital, I had bursted my L2 vertebrae.
Yeah, you had, well, man, you're a lucky man, Jake. You are a lucky man. You know, hitting so 40 miles an hour this way, 40 miles an hour this way. That's a lot of energy to be put into the human body. How long were you in the hospital?
They had tried to decide if they were going to do emergency surgery or not, but fortunately I was 28 at the time, and obviously relatively healthy. They decided to try and let it heal naturally. But that had also complicated some of the other accidents I had had. So after that, I ended up having to have 3 shoulder surgeries too, and so yeah, it's been a tough go. I'm a father of 2 boys, so I got to stay spry, man.
Yeah, I get that. You got to keep up with the kids. I got a son too who's 13. I get it. So you credit hemp for saving your life, and not marijuana, but hemp. Explain this to us. So I want to understand. I want everybody to understand. Tell us the story.
Yeah, so 2018 is actually when I was hit. In 2018 is exactly when the Farm Bill passed and was able to get into CBD products at the time, right? So this is right when the Farm Bill had been allowed and CBD was allowed to, let's call it, proliferate or at least enter the market. And I'd really never experienced anything like it. Being an athlete, I tried to stay away from really anything that you weren't familiar with. But post races and stuff, like obviously when you have a good race, it's fun to get beers with your teammates and stuff, and that's not good for recovery. And I had a little bit of experience with just like a CBD soft gel or whatever, and was like, man, I sleep really good. And after the accident, I knew like this probably ended my career. I really don't feel like taking opioids and sitting around, and did it completely with cannabinoids. So I did my full recovery completely opioid free, and all of my surgeries opioid free.
That's interesting. I'm sitting here today suffering from some sort of a sciatica deal, and I actually have this Patriots Relief topical CBD product that is helping me tremendously. So here I am today. It's hard for me to sit. I don't know what's going on. My doctor hasn't figured it out yet. But it's terrible pain down my whole leg. People that have dealt with sciatica know exactly what I'm talking about, or people know. And these products from Patriots Relief really help me. So CBD, you took it orally. Did you do any of the topicals? What else did you do?
Yeah, we ended up in the end creating our own full line of products that really in turn have helped me with all of my ailments. Usually for like someone like you, right, you're dealing with sciatica pain, and sometimes that can actually happen in your hip, by the way. So sit on a tennis ball right in your butt. Sitting on a tennis ball right on your butt, man. I've had that before, but
Jake, you just got me in so much trouble. My wife has these rubber balls at home. You need to use these. I'm like, yeah. Right now, she's sitting there going, I told you so. I can tell you right now, she's saying, I told you so. Ivy's right there. But the CBD products have really worked for me. So why the ban? Why did they sneak a ban in on these products? I didn't hear about this until you showed up.
Oh man, that's a loaded question. When an industry gets to be a $30 billion industry, I think it's time to pay the piper. It feels. I think, look, to be honest with you, right, the industry has been really asking for regulation. So I'm Pennsylvania. I'm the president of the Pennsylvania Hemp and Cannabis Guild. And just so you understand, like the layout of Michigan has adult use recreational marijuana. And they really don't allow for hemp products to necessarily enter the adult use market as much, because they want everything to funnel through a dispensary. But what I believe in is these CBD products should be a lot more accessible, because they do have a different medicinal value, and really, in my opinion, they should be able to be accessed by the consumer, and not in overly stigmatized way. So that's really how we've built our business model, is just products that make people feel better, and just providing access.
And making sure people understand you're not getting high. You're using cannabinoid and the cannabinoid system in your body. It's not getting high. It's staying healthy so you can run around with the boys, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, the big issue, right, is that in some scenarios, people have been upset with, products taking it too far is kind of where they've gone with, right? Like whether they call them like synthetics, or whether, exploitation of certain products. But the reality is like a lot of it was kind of happened because regulation wasn't imposed, right? At the end of the day, whichever way you want to look at this industry, it was let go for 7 years. And it's not like they weren't familiar with what was happening, right? States had been addressing the issue in different ways, whether they were putting them into adult use markets or they were creating its own regulatory authority. So now it just feels like, man, you can't really just pull the rug out from a $30 billion industry for people that have built their whole livelihoods on it. Look, I was in the Capitol in Harrisburg on Monday, working with Pennsylvania legislators to try to create a framework to fix this just in Pennsylvania if we can't fix this federally. And I got a call from a bank. My wife and I were purchased a property in a small rural town. We were investing in infrastructure here, and my commercial loan got pulled because of it. Like
There you
people don't
go.
really realize. Yeah,
Yeah.
people don't realize the consequences that families, small businesses are feeling from this. And, it's just like, oh, well, they got a year to figure it out to get regulated. And it's like, yeah, but you don't understand what this is doing to not just us, mentally.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Jake Sittler, I wish you well in your endeavors, because I think it does help people. It's not about getting high. It's about being healthy and being in control. And I appreciate you sharing your story here today. We'll have you back for an update. I think that this is a bad idea, but in states where marijuana is legal, I don't see how you end up down this road anyway. That's all the time I have today, Jake. You come back anytime.
Thanks, man. Good luck with the sciatica.
Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. By the way, if you want to try out some products that help, this topical I'm using from Patriots Relief is working. That's the point. PatriotsRelief.com. Go check that out. PatriotsRelief.com. Use the promo code Gruber, and you're going to find out they got some specials too. I'll be right back. All right, well, here we are for the nation's capital. I'm on my way to the White House a little bit later today. Had a great visit at the Pentagon yesterday, my first time there with a hard pass and a chance to look around and learn about maybe one of the most famous buildings in the world, the Pentagon. 25,000 people work there. It's a city unto itself. 17 and a half miles of hallways. Think about that. I mean, it's a big place. We'll have more information on that coming up, as we move forward. Now, speaking of the Pentagon, it seems shocking to me that the seditious six, two senators, Alyssa Slotkin and Mark Kelly, along with 4 members of Congress, all Democrats, continue to advocate for members of the military to ignore illegal orders. Of course, they offer no example of any illegal order whatsoever. None. But give the impression that somehow Donald Trump is issuing illegal orders by attacking drug boats, drug runners, narco-terrorists coming out of Venezuela, and maybe other places in the future. And Mark Kelly, the senator, the veteran, the Navy veteran and former NASA astronaut, who is one of the people who said, do not follow illegal orders, even though he could give no example, continues to hem and haw and try to explain what the hell it was he was talking about, because nobody knows except that we know that it's politics. It's all politics. And how reprehensible is that? How reprehensible is it that a Navy veteran would go out there and say, don't follow illegal orders, implying that President Trump or Pete Hegseth or anybody else in the chain of command is giving illegal orders? Mark Kelly, again, asked about it yesterday. He floundered again. Here's what he came up with.
Sort of flimsy legality that was being offered during the briefings. Were these sort of strikes that are now in the news what you were making reference to when you posted that video telling members of the military that they needed to feel okay just obeying orders that they felt were illegal?
Based on who this president is and who the Secretary of Defense is, and specifically things that the president has said in the past and things he was talking about doing in the future. Let me give you an example. 2016, he's talking about something on a debate stage that was clearly illegal. And he was reminded by Brett Baer from Fox News that that would be an illegal order. Military won't do that. You know what the president's response was to that? The military will not refuse my orders. Implying that even if they are illegal, they will not refuse them. He's also talked about shooting protesters in the legs. Then he's talking about deploying more troops to American cities and using those cities as training grounds. Do you know what that means? That means using the American people for the military to train on. So we were looking forward to try to head something off at the pass that could have been really, really bad. So it wasn't about this specific thing.
Sort of flimsy legality.
That could have been really, really bad. Trying to head something off that maybe might have happened. The debate that he's talking about was 9.5 years ago, 2016. Is Mark Kelly implying that Donald Trump gave any illegal orders during his first term in the White House? No, of course not, because he didn't. But he continues to make this implication, undermining confidence, possibly in the ranks of the men and women that defend this country, but also sowing seeds of doubt into the American public's mind. That's what this is about. What if Donald Trump gives an illegal order? Well, what if pigs sprout wings and fly? There's no evidence at all of any illegal orders. This is politics at its worst. It's shameful behavior. Senator Mark Kelly should be held accountable. They should recall him to the military and make him answer under oath. That's what should happen. Answer the questions. And Alyssa Slotkin, she was nothing more than an analyst. An analyst. It's a low-level position in the intel community. She would have you believe that she's some sort of, superhuman, super smart, super capable. She was an analyst. That's a good job. Don't get me wrong. It's an important job. But to pass herself off as some sort of an expert and all this experience, no, that's nonsense. It's more snake oil, if you will. It's more snake oil. And when you target people by saying, well, your orders could be illegal, bad things happen. The Border Patrol, also targeted by similar reckless comments from those on the left. They have become targets for violent people. And of course, we saw the National Guard gunned down right here in Washington, D.C. We saw it happen. The young woman from West Virginia has died. Now, there's a good prognosis for the man still in critical condition. But it's not a good situation. And the Border Patrol says they're being targeted because they're called Nazis and fascists and everything else. Listen.
The Pritzkers and the Newsoms and the Governor Steins there in North Carolina, perhaps there is a glimmer of hope that they may realize that. But, I'm still not hearing what I want to hear from those elected representatives to quell down this violence, to quell down what's happening on the streets. Kylie, oftentimes they will say something like the masked bank robbers that you just had on your earlier clip. They'll say something like that, and we'll hear it on the streets a mere few hours later. So they need to do a much better job in quelling down that rhetoric so that these National Guard members and law enforcement aren't put in jeopardy, which they are put in jeopardy now.
So that's an interesting.
Yeah, they are put in jeopardy. Enough. Clean up your act. Did you know American homeowners nationwide have over $32 trillion in equity, and cyber criminals are targeting that with a growing scam the FBI calls house stealing? House alarms, doorbell cameras, deadbolts, they don't work against these thieves. They're after your equity, not your stuff. If your title is not being monitored, scammers can transfer the title of your home into their name using a one-page document they file at the county. They take out loans against your property, or the worst part, they can sell it behind your back. And you won't even know it. You won't even know it until the mailbox starts to fill up with dunning notices. The best way to protect yourself, triple lock protection from Home Title Lock, 24/7 monitoring, alerts of any changes, and God forbid if the worst happens, up to $1 million in restoration services. You can check on your home's title today. Go to HometitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber. HometitleLock.com, promo code Gruber. You're going to get some great specials. And the best thing about it, you're going to protect your home. HometitleLock.com. I'll be back with sports and Brock. All right, let's check in on sports with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. Week 13 of the NFL season concluded last night with the New England Patriots moving to 11-2 on the season with a 33-15 victory over the New York Giants in Gillette Stadium. Patriots quarterback Drake May threw for 282 yards and 2 touchdowns on the night. The Patriots now 11-2. The Giants fall to 2-11. In the NBA last night, there were 9 games on the schedule. Winners included Detroit, Cleveland, Dallas, and Phoenix. In the NHL, there were 5 games on the schedule. Winners were Pittsburgh, Columbus, Buffalo, Anaheim, and San Jose. In college football coaching news, Kentucky named Oregon offensive coordinator Will Stein as their new head coach. He replaces the fired Mark Stoops. Michigan State officially named former Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald as their new head man. And Florida officially named Tulane head coach John Sumrall as their new head coach. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock. Question about Pat Fitzgerald coming from Northwestern to Michigan State. He stays in the Big Ten. What's his contract look like? Do we know?
I know it's 5 years. Terms not disclosed, but you know that the beat reporters will FOIA request it, and all that information will become public. We do hear it's a 5-year deal, though.
5-year deal. What I read is that it's probably going to be somewhere in the middle of the pack as far as money. Does that seem to make sense to you?
Yeah, I would think so. Not cheap, but I mean, Coach Fitzgerald didn't have too many cards to play, so yeah.
So why him?
You're not going to give him nothing, but you know, you're not going to give him big time dollars either.
Yeah, but why him?
I think that's about as good as Michigan State can do right now. I mean, they're not a top level program right now. They just aren't.
Yeah, and you know, with NIL, can they ever get back? I mean, I didn't think they'd ever win another Big Ten game. I guess I was wrong about that. Anyhow, Brock, it's crazy the amount of money that's paid to these football coaches, many of whom lose. I mean, Jimbo Fisher is getting paid out by A&M for $1 bazillion for the rest of his life, I think. Anyhow,
it's like $75 million. That's the biggest buyout. Yeah,
$75 million. I should be a losing football coach. It's a better career.
It's a great
path.
Occupation. Fired college football coach.
No kidding. All right, we'll take a break. We'll have more of the Steve Gruber Show coming up. Don't forget to follow us every day on YouTube. It's a growing movement, my friends. You should be part of it. I'll be back on the Steve Gruber Show.
always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent. Come on, man. We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it, a special edition of the program coming to you live from the nation's capital. I'm here in Real America's Voice, Washington studios. Great place to be. As soon as I'm off here, I'm off to the White House today to see what the president's up to. He's signing something in the Oval Office today, but we don't know what it is. Signing something tomorrow in the Oval Office. We don't know what it is. Always a surprise. I do know this. 3 big things to tell you about this hour. Number one, the United States has reached a deal with the UK on pharmacy and pharmaceutical prices, so that's a big deal. Number two, a lot of scams going on right now when it comes to the lottery. Really, lottery scams. And number three, I want to share this with you. Number three, Michigan lawmakers are doing something that I think is kind of interesting. You might find it interesting as well. Anthony, pay attention. Michigan Republican lawmakers have come up with a new pastime, finding creative ways to make teenagers furious and annoyed. This is all from MichiganNewsSource.com. It's my news company and one you can trust when it comes to real news. MichiganNewsSource.com. You can read the whole story. House Bill 4388. It's the Social Media Regulation Act. It's a sweeping proposal that would slap curfews, parental surveillance, and age verification rules on every minor daring to open TikTok or other social media sites after 10:30 at night. Think about that. Parents, you're back in control. The bill has been introduced by State Representative Mark Tisdale. He's a Republican from Rochester Hills. It would require platforms with more than 5 million users, and that's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, you name it. Most of them have 5 million, right? They would have to verify the age of every Michigan account holder. Age verification. If the user is under 18, a parent must sign off with their consent in order for the minor to have access or to have the account. Pretty remarkable, really. I mean, that's a pretty remarkable thing. Under the bill, minors can only use social media with explicit parental consent, and that consent comes with a key to the kingdom. Parents would receive full access to their child's posts and every single message they send, every single one. How do you feel about that? It's basically a tattletale feature, right? I think it's a brilliant idea. You know how much garbage floats around out there on social media? Encouraging kids to do harmful things or take stupid dares and dangerous things happens every single day. Oh, look at the new TikTok dare. Next thing you know, some kids in critical condition or worse. It's not going to go over well with Michigan teenagers. But then again, what does? I have a teenager. They don't like anything, generally. Platforms would also be banned for showing minors in search results unless friended. They'd be banned from targeting them with advertisements or recommending friends or groups or content. Wow. Parental control would matter. HB 4388 doesn't stop there. The Michigan Attorney General would be empowered to investigate violations and hit the platforms with civil fines up to $2,500 per offense. I think it should be a lot higher, by the way. Consumers can sue as well, which is a polite way of saying Michigan is opening a brand new buffet for lawyers. Congratulations to the lawyers. Esquire Bob, look, a whole new line of business. The Computer and Communications Industry Association testified against the bill, saying, quote, "We share Michigan lawmakers' commitment to keeping children safe online. And we believe that goal is best achieved through approaches that respect constitutional rights and protect user privacy. Federal courts have consistently found that laws mandating age verification and parental consent violate the First Amendment." I don't think that's true. I believe that pornographic sites have found themselves in a position that requires age verification. So I'm not sure where this goes, but it's interesting. Every teen account in Michigan would automatically shut down at 10:30 and not start again until 6:30 in the morning, which is probably a good idea, so your kids can actually sleep at night and not rage on the internet, right? And that is, unless mom and dad say it's okay. Tisdale argues the bill simply gives parents authority they already should have, and that he told the House Regulatory Reform Committee November the 14th. When you have these outcomes at the back end, the parents are going to be responsible for picking up the pieces. If you have responsibility on the back end but no authority on the front end, that's a bad position to be in. Any of us that's had a job where your responsibility exceeds your authority, that's a rough spot, he says. And that's all I'm trying to do. If parents are going to be responsible for the bad outcomes, give them some authority on the front end. I can't argue with that. I can't. Can you? I can't argue with that. Supporters, including the mental health advocates, point to rising teen anxiety, depression, social media fueled insecurity. All the garbage that comes with social media, it's poison. This is the electronic devil right here. Your device is the electronic devil. As of August 2025, according to Route 50, a digital news and analysis publication focused on state, county, and local government in the U.S., 13 U.S. states have enacted laws restricting minors' access to social media, creating a patchwork of curfews, parental consent rules, and age verification systems all across the nation. Several other states weighing similar proposals, all aimed at limiting the amount of time kids spend online. We're pretty good about it. We're not great. We're pretty good. Each takes a different approach, by the way, from requiring platforms to verify a user's age to mandating tools that let parents monitor and restrict their child's activity. The growing momentum reflects a national trend. Lawmakers in both parties, it's bipartisan, searching for ways to curb online harm without triggering privacy backlash or leaving enforcement entirely to big tech. Because we don't trust big tech, do we? No, not really. No, we really don't. They're out for one thing: money. Money. That's right. That's what they're out to get. All right. Meanwhile, State Representative Jason Wolford, one other story I want to get to. Jason Wolford, talking about election security in the state of Michigan. He says it's too easy to cheat. It's too easy to vote illegally. Something we need to fix. Here's what he said.
We've got real waste, real fraud, and we are going to get to the bottom of it. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Unemployment Agency. People can simply check a box saying that they are eligible, and in most cases, that is enough to start receiving benefits. There's only 4 pieces of information that are required: a first name, last name, an address, and an alien number, only if that person self-identifies as a non-citizen. No social security number is required, even if someone claims to be a citizen. I brought MDHHS before our committee. We pulled up the website for benefits. We went through all 27 pages, and at the end, we're given the opportunity to register to vote.
Yeah, register to vote. So here you can join all these programs, get all this money, and register to vote. By the way, how do we fuel this program every day? Well, it's with 1775 coffee in a paper cup today. 1775 coffee. It's not average. It's a high-performance, longevity-fueled elixir. God bless 1775 coffee. They took their bold, full-bodied roast and supercharged it with CAAKG, a clinically backed compound that supports cellular energy and resilience. Not just morning boost, it's fuel to keep you strong, sharp, and unstoppable. No fillers, no fluff, just darn good coffee. That's what you get from 1775. It is the official coffee of Steve Gruber. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You're going to save 10% on your coffee right now and put it in your cup to join me every day. 1775coffee.com/Gruber. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back to it here as we continue the conversation. It is that time of the year when you start to see people showing up and saying, look, I'm ready to serve my country. My next guest is a Navy veteran. He's already served his country. Former state representative, lifelong resident of the state of Michigan and southeastern Michigan specifically. Andrew Beeler. He's decided to run for the 25th Michigan Senate seat. He's joining me now. Andrew, thank you for being on the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, let's talk about this for a second. First of all, tell the folks where the 25th state Senate district is so they have an idea.
Yeah, the 25th district is really it's the thumb of Michigan. It's almost all of St. Clair County, which is my home. It's all of Sanilac, all of Huron, part of Tuscola, and a small portion of Macomb County. So geographically, it's the thumb of Michigan.
You've served in the military. You understand a thing or two about discomfort, but man, politics, it can be uncomfortable as well. Why are you doing this?
Well, frankly, just because I'm concerned, right? I'm somebody who is in this position myself, but I'm concerned about people and their inability to start and grow a family here in the state. My family's been here for my entire life, for multiple generations, and I see the opportunities that they came here for going away, right? This is kind of a microcosm of what's going on in the country, but I think everybody has to step up and do what they can in their home community to defend the values that made America great, that made our state great, and so many of us see those slipping away, right? You see families no longer able to support themselves on one income. When did that become normal, and when did that become okay? Well, I don't think it's okay. And I think that the policies that have been advanced in the state for the last decade or two have been detrimental to Michigan families, farmers, and small businesses. And I think it's time to put a stop to it.
You know, you look at Michigan compared to the states around us, or you go just a little bit farther to a state like Tennessee, no state income tax. I think Michigan would benefit from having no state income tax. Right now, there's a movement afoot, as you probably know, to end property taxes, which I agree with. Look, if you're a senior, your family's been here their whole lives. If you're a senior, you've paid for your mortgage, you've paid your bills, and now you're on a fixed income, and your property taxes continue to escalate year after year to the point where people are making decisions about, can I even stay in my home? What are your thoughts about taxes in Michigan?
Well, you mentioned the income tax. I think that's the lowest hanging fruit that we have. So many other states that are bigger than us do this. And they survive on no income taxes. It's really interesting to hear the advocates for higher taxes talk about how the sky will essentially fall if we lower property taxes, if we cut our income tax or eliminate our income tax. Well, the buying power of the Michigan property tax has gone up by 25% over the last 10 years. Are we getting 25% more from our government services than we did in 2015? I don't think so. Okay, so clearly there's room in our property taxes. And the income tax, that's a no-brainer, right? Give people a 4.5% increase in their pay right away, day one. That is the lowest hanging fruit that we should be addressing. And frankly, step one in making Michigan more competitive.
Yeah. Let me see here. Let's see. Michigan is about the size of Georgia, and yet our state budget is billions and billions of dollars larger. The state of Pennsylvania is larger than we are. They spend $30 billion less a year on their annual budget, and yet their infrastructure seems to be better. Their programs and services seem to be better. Why do we spend so much money in Michigan for such a small return on investment?
You know, we have some of the worst roads in the state. We have some of the lowest performing K through 12 schools, and we're ranked 11th in the state for violent and property crimes. So clearly, more has not been the answer. I think so often you'll hear from Lansing, we need more, more, more. When was the last time you heard an administrator, a bureaucrat, ask for less? Never, right? That's obviously never happened. The sky will fall, the world will end, people will die if we cut the state budget. It's simply untrue, okay? More has not worked. Taking more from the Michigan entrepreneur, from the Michigan farmer, from the Michigan family, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked for decades. And at a certain point, we've got to stop and realize that what we don't need is more government. What we need is less. You see Gretchen Whitmer jet setting around the country, around the world, trying to attract businesses to the state. Hey, why don't you start with some of the low-hanging fruit? Give people back the money that they've earned, okay? Now, as a small business owner, I know how hard to make that money. And to just cut that check for your property taxes, to see every payroll, that money going to the state government for your payroll taxes, it's painful. It's really painful. And I don't think
You know, in fairness, Andrew, I will say this. Speaker Hall and the Republicans were able to trim some money back out of the budget, $3-4 billion. So that's headed in the right direction. I call that a good start. What's it going to take for you to win in the 25th?
Well, I think it's similar to what we did in 2020. When I ran for the state house in 2020, I was an unknown quantity, right? Having lived here my whole life was helpful, but I'd been in the Navy and I'd been out of the area for about 10 years. So we got out there and we met folks, right? That's the beautiful thing about state government is it's small enough to where you can still go meet these folks. You can go knock doors. You can make phone calls. There's a realistic chance you can meet everybody who's going to vote in the election, which I think is really powerful. So that's what we're going to do in 2026. We're going to get out there and meet folks. We're starting early with precinct delegate town halls in the thumb of Michigan to reach out and listen to folks, hear their concerns, give them my ideas, but also hear from them. And that's what it's going to take. That's why we're starting early. I'm excited to be the first one in the race to get out there and hear from folks first and build a plan, build a platform, and start talking about the issues that are most important to the thumb.
All right, Andrew, we wish you well. Where can people find out more? Is there a website they can go to?
BeelerforMichigan.com is my website, and then I'm available on all social media platforms as well.
There you go. Well, Andrew, we wish you well. Thumb's a beautiful part of the state. Love Saginaw Bay, that whole part of the state of Michigan. And we wish you well in your race, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Steve.
There you have it. Andrew Beeler, Navy vet, former Michigan State rep, running for a Senate seat now. And it is an important part of the state. And he's right about all those things. Look, we spend a pile of money on God only knows what in Michigan. Far more than other states like Georgia, like Pennsylvania, like Ohio. And yet here we are. Roads are still busted up. Fix the damn roads, would you? I think I heard that once somewhere. Where did I hear that? I'll have to think about it. I am live in Washington, D.C., on my way to the White House as soon as I'm done here at this desk. And we'll have full reports coming out throughout the week. I'll take a break. It is The Steve Gruber Show. Here is a mystery for you, a murder mystery in Michigan that is unfolding, and we're trying to share the news so maybe we can find some people that know what's going on. Authorities have confirmed that the body recovered November 25th in Manistee National Forest was that of Rebecca Park, a 22-year-old Michigan woman who was about 38 weeks pregnant at the time of her disappearance. Wexford County press release confirmed that the autopsy identified the body as Park's. Her cause of death remains undetermined, and more striking, there was no baby. No baby. Local and state officers from the Wexford County Sheriff's Office, Michigan State Police, coordinating with additional law enforcement, including Missaukee County Sheriff's Office, Cadillac Police, the FBI, and other agencies, trying to figure out what's happened here, collaborating to find out what happened to Park and her baby. It's an active investigation. The information that can be released is extremely limited at this time, said Wexford County Sheriff Trent Taylor. Sheriff Taylor saying, look, we can only tell you so much. Meanwhile, two people close to Park, her fiance, Richard Lee Fowler, and her sister, Kimberly Park, remain jailed. Fowler faces methamphetamine delivery charges and habitual offender fourth offense notice, while Kimberly charged with tampering with evidence, lying to police, filing a false report of a felony. Neither has yet to be accused in Park's death, but obviously it's a consideration. Stephanie Park, the adoptive mother of Rebecca, finally spoken out publicly for the first time since the pregnant woman's disappearance. She told 9 and 10 News that she raised Park from being an infant. She'd been adopted along with her siblings, and emphasized her family loved Rebecca deeply, describing her as troubled but loving, who deserves to be remembered as the sweet little girl she was. She said her family remained silent initially to protect themselves, but wanted the public to know Rebecca came from a middle-class family in a very nice situation. So Rebecca's dead, the child is missing, and the investigation is expanding. I suspect they'll figure this one out in short order. If you have any other information, you can call the Wexford County tip line, 231-306-2072. That's 231-306-2072. You can also read more at MichiganNewsSource.com, MichiganNewsSource.com, my news company. A news company you can trust for real news in the state of Michigan, MichiganNewsSource.com. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, welcome back to it. We continue the conversation here live from the nation's capital. I am covering all the big stories in Michigan, of course, as we do every single day here on the Steve Gruber Show to make sure you're up to speed in your own neck of the woods. Joining me now is State Representative Brad Paquette. He is from Michigan House District 37. Brad, nice to have you back on the program.
Hey, thank you for having me, Steve. I appreciate you.
Always good to see you. All right. For folks that don't know, I always do this. District 37 is where?
Southwest Michigan, so almost as far south and west as you can go.
So, like in the shadow of Notre Dame, how sad. Just
very true.
Yeah. At any rate, you're working on some things. The FDA claims that COVID shots killed some kids, at least 10. They're vowing new vaccine rules. Look, COVID was a bad experience all the way around. Whether it was the governor locking us out of the garden department, her husband taking out the boat, people told they couldn't use their vacation homes, or these vaccines that were basically foisted upon us, being told that they were safe and effective. I'm not sure they were either at this point. I got the first 2 shots, and I will never do that again. That's me. Where do you come down on this, Brad?
Well, I was hesitant about these shots, but I will say that I voted to supply funding during that time for individuals that wanted to get it. I voted to support that. And now, years later, and after what I've personally experienced, I come to regret that vote after looking into this a bit more. And when you ask some questions, you get some pretty specific responses. After the Project Veritas video where there was the director of mRNA, Jordan Walker, talking, he worked for Pfizer, and he was talking about the Frankenstein science that they were doing there with these viruses, modifying them to make them, more deadly in the gain of function research they were partaking in. I just called up the government affairs at Pfizer and I said, did this guy actually work for you? And they blocked my phone number. And so after I started really inquiring more about this and then hearing from constituents and that have had heart pain and problems after the COVID shot, a lot of people have gotten nothing. So seeing this movement and an indication that there's going to be some oversight, especially with that adverse reporting system, VAERS, and how they're actually looking into that now. I have a case in VAERS currently right now with what I experienced after the shot. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are excited to get some attention.
Yeah, I got very ill after the shot. I had vertigo, never experienced vertigo in my life. I had it so bad I could not sit up straight. I had to call my doctor to get a prescription called Antivert. I never even heard what I said to my doctor. I said, so let me get this straight. I have to have a prescription medication for vertigo because I took the vaccine. He says, I guess so. I think he was as confused as I was, right? It was a terrible thing. I'm going to give you credit here, Brad. You admitted you were wrong. That's pretty rare for a politician these days to admit, hey, you know what? I was wrong about that. But I applaud you for it because sometimes we make mistakes. That's important. But the other concern that I have about the fallout from the COVID shots is this. What happens when we have another serious medical situation in this country, which we will? And there is something that could actually help. And people are going to say, nope, I want nothing to do with it because people they've been burned. They've been burned once and then, fool me once, right? And that's how that goes. And I think that there's the ramifications of, hey, having something that actually does work for an upcoming illness, that people are going to say, I don't want it because they got burned so bad about COVID. That's a concern, isn't it?
Yeah, trust has to be rebuilt. And not to get too technical, but with the mRNA technology, if it stayed in the arm, then that'd have been great, from my understanding. If it would, but it traveled all throughout the body, and so it had different impacts on different people, on people's hearts, especially young men, on brains, on nervous systems, things like that. And so, true science and to rebuild trust has to look at the quote unquote rare instances, which really aren't that rare in this case, especially when you're looking at that VAERS data.
You look at, and my doctor is not a politically active individual, just somebody who, they have the computer in front of them, the doctors do, right? And every day they get the same alerts from the CDC or the FDA or wherever they come from, and they have the same information. I don't think a lot of these doctors were knowingly doing something that was ill-advised. They were going by the best information they had because they've trusted the information they get for their entire careers. How do we fix that? How do we make sure people that are medical professionals get information we can trust?
Yeah, I think it comes down to exactly what the FDA is doing. What they're doing at HHS is that they're opening things up and they want to have evidence-based information. A lot of people, like my wife and I, when she got the shot originally, she was worried about, because we were trying to have children, and she was asking questions, is this safe, for people that, women that are getting pregnant, and they're like, oh yeah, for sure. And then, you ask a follow-up question. It's like, well, there haven't been any children born yet. How do you know that? They're like, oh, it's good. But those are fabrications. And the safe and effective slogan that got tossed out there, we know was not true. The 6 feet distance, all this, right? It just kind of was said and pushed upon us. And then we saw as those effective ratings went down and down and down, and people were still getting it, and they lied saying that it wouldn't, cause transmission. And then, oh, well, it just makes it not as harmful when you do get COVID now. And so there's a lot of repair that has to be done.
And by the way, they had no proof of that either, that it made it less harmful. I mean, I see people, you walk into the local pharmacy today, COVID shots available, flu shots available, get them today. I don't know anybody, knowing what we know today, Brad, just like you and I, that would knowingly get another COVID booster shot today. I have no idea what would be going through somebody's mind to do it today, but that's where we are.
I do see, and I don't know if you still see it, but there are still people driving with masks on by themselves.
I see it.
So
I feel sorry for them.
There are a few.
I do. I feel sorry for them.
I mean,
what happened to you? You're still so wound up in this that I see people walking around with masks. Now, look, somebody's got an illness. Yeah, sometimes they walk around with a mask, but that's not what I'm seeing. You see somebody walking down the street all by themselves or in their yard all by themselves with a mask on. I'm like, wow, what went wrong in your life, honestly? But you bring up a good point, and that is the information given by the FDA or other government agencies. Look, the biggest lobbying groups in America are all pharmaceutical lobbies. I mean, the number one funder of television are pharmaceutical companies. Number one.
Yeah.
I mean, that should tell you a lot, shouldn't it? We have got to ban advertising by drug companies, I believe. We're one of only 2 countries that allows it. We should be one to get out of that deal. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's one thing RFK Jr. has his sights set on, which I applaud that in particular, because when you have, especially the media that's brought to you by Pfizer and brought to you by all these companies, they're going to have way less scrutiny. I've got clips back from 20 years ago where media is, inquiring about, where money goes, who the head of, whatever board and Moderna, used to be, this FDA director or on this council. And, it's something that a lot of people are really, really waking up to, and they're upset about. And again, the trust building has to happen. And that's what I think these guys at the top now are getting so much flack for. But a lot of them, like Jay Bhattacharya and whoever, all these folks that are out there, they were out there battling on the front lines, and they were getting destroyed. They were getting destroyed.
Yeah, they got destroyed. Yeah, it's too bad. Always good talking to you, Brad. Nice to see you. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good fight for us here in Michigan. We appreciate it. And don't be a Notre Dame fan. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much. All right, there you have it. We'll take a break. When I come back, the beautiful, the talented, the one, the only Ivy will join me after the break. All right, some changes came to the program yesterday. If you're not aware, in Lansing, for example, we moved to AM 730 on the radio dial. You can always go to stevegruber.com. You can always follow us on YouTube, listen live, watch live, and then you'd see my next guest, the beautiful, the talented, the one, the only, Ivy, in full living color. Ivy, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm lovely. Wait, you're at my desk. Wow. A guy leaves for a couple of days, and this is what happens?
Well, it's actually not my most favorite place to be in the studio, but it's nice sitting in on this lovely big desk here, waiting for you to return.
It's as big as a battleship. We need to update that. Anyhow, what's on your mind? I just want to make sure people know YouTube is the best place to go right now. Their service is tremendous. SteveGruber.com. There's a listen live feature right there. You can always listen. They're having a couple of technical issues as we've switched over from one radio station to the next. So just so people know. Anyhow, what's on your mind?
So there's not a lot, I love sports, and I'm not like a super fan like many people, but.
Like your parents?
What's that?
Like your parents?
Yeah, like my parents. Yeah, huge University of Miami fans and Buccaneers fans, but. When they go to games, they have like little gnomes and things they carry around, and they're completely, in the in the outfits and things like that. That's just not me. But I caught this clip of Young Ho Koo. He is with the New York Giants. Did you see this?
I watched it. I couldn't. As a former place kicker, didn't mean to hit my microphone. As a former place kicker, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
And Anthony, if you have that ready, I have the clip for those of you that didn't see it. He's going to make the kick, and his toe catches the ground, and doesn't even get the kick off. It is so embarrassing. And here it is. He's going in to make the kick, catches his toe way before the ball. And then his whole body lurches forward like, dude, you have one job. What?
You got one job.
What the heck are you doing here? Oh, how embarrassing.
And what you probably didn't see was the Giants quarterback on the sideline. He had you had to read his lips, but he had some things to say about that.
I bet he did. You got to be kidding me. Oh my gosh, yeah. It was totally unbelievable, but just on a more light note, I think that I could, again, going back to maybe we're in the wrong business. I can hit the ground with my foot, and for whatever that guy's being paid. Anyways, while you're
it's tough. Yeah, it was a tough thing to watch.
Yes.
He's probably looking for a job. Anyhow, so I'm here in D.C. You started to say something about that. I left all that snow and cold behind, and now all that snow and cold's coming here. It's raining. It's going to snow here. It's going to be a lovely day in the nation's capital.
Well, it is winter, so that's kind of, how things go. But, I have another clip I want you to listen to a little bit more on a serious note. Anthony, do you have that ready?
Liberal women are not doing well. You see the highest rates of mental illness among single liberal women. And it's because it's a philosophy that pits women against their own bodies and against their own children. Feminism coaches women to reject their bodies, reject the natural realities, especially of their fertility, especially of their reproductive capacity.
Yeah, so I don't know if it was kind of a little bit more difficult to hear there with the audio so loud, but essentially it's like, the rise in mental health problems are amongst liberal men and liberal women. And we actually know many people that are going through this right now that their children are just revolting against their gender.
Everything.
Against, the Lord gave them, whether, they're a man or a male or a female, and they are just saying, no, I don't feel comfortable in my body. I don't feel like a woman, or I don't feel like a man, whatever their biological gender is. And there's just, I just don't understand this trend.
Well, here's the good news. I saw the trend line was crazy was up here and not crazy was down here. I saw that part on the trend line on the video. But the good news is this whole transgender phenomenon. Look, we've asked everybody. Anthony's in his 20s. How many transgender people did you go to high school with? None. I mean, this has only happened over the last 5 years because of advertising on places like TikTok and other places, Reddit, and different places that people flock. Fact of the matter is, it peaked in 2023, this whole transgenderism thing, whatever it is. It's now on a massive decline because people are like, stop it. Just stop it, right? I mean, and young people are like, crazy.
It makes me so sad because the amount of turmoil that these young people are going through just to revolt against what is completely biologically normal for them. And, you know, why is it that men, some young men want to be women, or some, and the cat decided that she wants to be on the show with me today. I don't know if you can see her, but our cat as joined me on the desk here. Not even sure how she got in. But anyhow, I feel really terrible. And I just wonder, how do you reach out to these folks and say, hey, you know, be comfortable in your own body. And I know that Charlie Kirk was actually very good at this. I pray that you can be comfortable in your own body, the one that God gave to you. He does not make mistakes. And hey, if you have an issue with that, okay, we can get you some help on that. But like you said, the numbers are so disproportionate. You have very, very few that may have had this, you know, what's the term for it?
Gender dysphoria.
Gender dysphoria, thank you. And I think it's like, oh, it's trendy. It's way cooler that if I just pretend that I want to be a boy or a girl, completely opposite of my actual gender. And it's causing a tremendous amount of sadness and grief. And makes me sad, Steve.
I think it's destructive, right? I agree with you. Be comfortable in your own skin. Ivy, I got to run. Love you.
I love you too.
All right. Be back after this. All right, so normally I'm a big fan of, I'm just going to take issue with this. Normally I'm a big fan of Shinola. I wear their watches, and I don't know, a couple years ago or 3, I bought a briefcase, a satchel, and the zipper's junk, right? I was like, it was not an inexpensive bag. Fairly pricey bag from Shinola because they make leather goods, they make bicycles, and they make watches. I like their watches. I wear their watch. Detroit company, right? And so we send this bag back, and now they want us to pay to repair a zipper in a very expensive briefcase. You send me a junk zipper and an expensive bag, you want me to pay to fix it? A little put off by that, Shinola. I'm put off by that, not impressed. And I've been a customer for years. Do better, trying to make me pay for it. You know, so Ivy and I were in South Carolina here, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and bought a new bag there that's great and was a lot less money and has great zippers. Just pointing it out there, just getting that off my chest. Anyhow, so from here, Anthony was asking where I'm going. I'm going to the White House, Anthony. It's a place where the president lives. I'm not sure what he's doing today. On the daily, there's a list that's put out every day, a schedule that tells you what's going on. And today it says he's signing some things at 2 o'clock in the Oval Office, but it doesn't say what it is. So in order to find out, I'm going to have to go there and find out. So, Anthony, I'm going to go to the White House. I'm going to have tea with the president, figure out what he's signing, hang out in the Oval, you know, just do what we do here. It's always fun to be in Washington, even when the weather's lousy, and it is lousy. It's like cold and raining, and it's about to become snow. So winter is here. But we'll have a full report tomorrow morning right here on the Steve Gruber Show about what's going on at the White House, what's going on at the Pentagon, also getting a press pass for FBI headquarters, Langley. Exciting stuff. It's fun, and I enjoy it. SteveGruber.com for all your information, and follow us. God bless America. We'll see you tomorrow on the Steve Gruber Show.